Can I speak with you for a second? The teenage girl thing has to stop. It was funny the first time, now it's just sick. Sick.
I already know that this might be a controversial video with the relationships I talk about, but I want to have a nuanced discussion about the relationships that have been depicted in this show with age gaps, and I know that some people are going to have differing opinions on this. I'm not just talking about the obvious student-teacher relationships on the show, but those are also a problem, but I'm talking about the age gaps in relationships that were either justified, excused, or just ignored. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to depict relationships like this, because believe it or not, they do happen, but there's a difference between romanticizing these relationships and writing a compelling story that ultimately condemns the behavior of the adult. With a show like Degrassi, it makes sense why they would depict what happens with a student-teacher relationship, but there's a way to depict predatory behavior, and there's a wrong way to depict predatory behavior. Most of the relationships I talk about never have the character really reflect or learn, and eventually come to the conclusion that the relationship they're in is wrong. My point is, they don't really go in depth with focusing on the person that was affected by this relationship, and in some cases the show is even telling me that the relationship is okay. With all that being said, in season 4, Matt Oleander, a student teacher that I believe is supposed to be 19 or 20, starts working at Degrassi and Paige is immediately attracted to him. It isn't uncommon for students to have crushes on their teachers, but Matt is immediately attracted to Paige once he breaks up with his girlfriend. Paige is a junior, and of course she would be attracted to an older guy that seems to be attracted to her.
Extra points for smiling. Anyways, I was just walking by. I thought I'd come say hi to my favorite yoga student. We broke up, not because of us. Not that there isn't us, but...
Stop acting like a jealous boyfriend. You either like me or you don't.
He immediately enters this relationship with Paige and they start sneaking around.
Well, we can't get caught, but we have to meet off school grounds.
Soon Hazel finds out about it.
Gee, Mr. Oleander, I thought you only had eyes for Paige.
And then Manny finds out about it, and then she outs their relationship to the entire school.
Hey, Mr. Pedophile. I mean, Oleander, don't make your girlfriend Paige even more jealous of me.
At first, Matt tries to blame Paige, saying that she was the one that initiated.
Mr. Oleander has a very different one. He told me that you were obsessed with him, that you followed him, you wouldn't leave him alone, you stalked him.
In the meantime, I get, what, expelled? Referred to as that sad, desperate loony who stalks TAs?
I didn't know what else to say.
Please, you wanted to look like the good guy. Don't kid yourself.
He eventually comes clean when he realizes what Paige is going to give up for the relationship.
Transferring so late, chances are you can't complete the academic year. You will fail entirely.
But the problem is he should have never been in the relationship in the first place with her. The show tells us that he is about a year older than Dylan.
You're what, my brother's age? A year older than that? He's dating Marco.
The guy's a predator.
He's like the same age as you. Are you preying on Marco?
And it makes it clear that what Matt is doing with Paige is wrong based on Mr. Simpson's reaction.
I'm sorry, but I'm not buying what she's selling. Anything I saw didn't look too one-sided.
Students often have feelings for their teachers. You just took your feelings too far.
Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and watch this.
I don't care if I fail. Can we just finish this now, please?
Here.
We had a relationship. We've seen each other outside of school. It shouldn't have happened. I take full responsibility.
And how the school obviously has to punish Matt. But I think because the show was also depicting him as Paige's boyfriend, they didn't want to write him off as a complete bad guy or something and leave it more ambiguous or whatever. But he's still a creep and a piece of shit to date a high schooler. Then when he breaks up with her, he gives her a bag of weed, which, I mean, wouldn't be so bad if it's quality weed. I mean, no, but seriously, I didn't really pick up on the subtle signs of this as a teenager, but the show is definitely wanting me to think that this is an okay relationship with the justifications it gives me.
I mean, he's not Marco's teacher.
Well, you're not mine. Not really. Fine, it's not conventional, but I thought you of all people would understand.
I understand that the age gap is only 3 years, but there is still that power dynamic here.
Matt's not perfect. He's just
disgusting.
just wonderful and sweet and fun, and he put everything on the line for me. You can't lose your entire life, not just for kissing some selfish high school chick.
He's still her teacher. He's still 3 years older, in college. It's just, no. Okay, so I know this isn't a relationship thing, but I had nowhere else to put this, and it needs to be mentioned because watching this back, I couldn't believe that this was said by an adult to a teenager, and the show just glosses over it as a joke.
Can you take your hand off my knee?
What was I doing there? Naughty. It's pathetic.
Jay, when I was born, Star Wars had already been out on video for 10 whole years. You're too old.
and I found it really creepy that it was just treated like a joke, like some cute quirk or whatever, but I felt like this was an example of what I mean by how Degrassi just brushes over shit sometimes, and it's really not alright, it's weird. In season 11, after Bianca ends up killing a guy in a gang she used to be involved with, Drew starts to worry about gang retaliation. Bianca then gets involved with another one of the members of the gang, Vince, clearly an adult, and he forces her into doing sexual things for him. So to protect Drew, she ends up doing that.
Come back to my place.
No, I can't.
You back to your little high school soon enough?
And please, anything else?
You wanna end this or not?
And what's more fucked up is that Drew ends up breaking up with Bianca after she's forced into doing this fucked up shit.
Back off.
Can we please not talk about it? I did what I had to do.
Now we can go on with our separate lives.
Separate. So that's it? You breaking up with me?
It'll be a fresh start. Like none of this ever happened.
Fine. I'll disappear.
And he ends up getting attacked anyway. We learn later that Bianca is still involved with Vince, and this has kept them from attacking Drew again. I know that Vince and Bianca weren't in a romantic relationship, but Bianca is still forced into doing sexual acts for Vince.
He came back and said he'd finish you off unless I did stuff for him.
Like what?
Sell drugs, play the dutiful girlfriend.
That's why I'm here. Anything to get away from him for a few hours.
Besides, we have a deal. You keep up your end and everybody stays in one piece.
And even though Bianca never wanted this, I also feel like the show doesn't do a good enough job condemning Vince's actions for forcing a teenager into sexual acts. I don't know how old Vince is supposed to be at this point, but we know he's an adult, and it always bothered me that we never got any recognition from the show that what happened to Bianca was wrong.
Either I stay with him, sell drugs, be his slave or whatever, or I try to leave and he hurts the people I care about. I'm trapped, Drew. I have no choice.
Vince does end up getting arrested, but most of it is focused on the stuff that he did involving the gang and not the stuff that he did to Bianca. And the show just glosses over it after this. It's never really brought up again. We never see how Bianca might be feeling disgusted with herself because of what she had to do. She doesn't talk about her experience with Vince after this. The show does focus on Bianca trying to do better, but seeing her equally struggling with this, I feel like could have been interesting and more interesting to her journey through recovery, but the show writes this stuff in for the sake of good TV and didn't really consider how Bianca would really deal with this afterward. Bianca, who is 16 or 17, having to be forced into a sexual relationship with an adult gang member, this should have been more addressed to me. During season 13, Tristan enters a relationship with his English teacher, Grant Yates, who clearly shows signs of grooming Tristan when he excludes him from the writing group and tests him as a way to prove he's good enough as a writer.
Well, everyone else got invited but me. Why did I have to jump through hoops?
I wanted you to prove yourself. And now I see. You're awesome. I was being tough on you because I didn't want to show you favoritism.
How he uses Tristan's vulnerability as a way to gain his trust.
Worried my parents are gonna get divorced.
I went through that at your age. I thought I could stop it. The fighting, the breakup. But it wasn't about me. That's a tough part to accept.
Thanks for listening, Mr. Yates.
Anytime. I'm on my way to lunch. Do you want to lift to your dentist appointment? I won't be held responsible for any cavities.
He offers him a ride to his dentist appointment, already going beyond the bounds of a student-teacher relationship. And this is all as a way to make Tristan feel like he's special and has a special relationship to Grant that no other student has.
Don't tell anyone else's, but probably end up being my favorite student.
And we all know that Tristan is desperate for a relationship. We've seen that on multiple occasions when he tried to impress Fab and also started starving himself. We also saw how desperate he was for Cam's attention, and because of this, he ends up hijacking Maya's account just so he can talk to him. When Tristan asks for help with writing for his performance, Grant invites him to his apartment, obviously as a way to lure Tristan closer to him.
Don't mention it to anyone, okay? Just don't want the other students getting jealous.
It'll be our little secret.
He even offers wine to him, and when Tristan initiates, Grant uses this as a way in, and Tristan obviously feels pressured.
I'm sorry.
Where are you going?
I have to go.
And the next day confronts Grant, and he starts making Tristan feel guilty for leaving. He literally brought the "I thought you were mature" line.
I had a great time last night. I just wasn't expecting things to happen.
I thought you were mature, Tristan. Obviously, I was wrong. What happened needs to stay between us. You understand that, right?
Yes, of course.
Obviously, to the younger, impressionable teen, that's going to hurt their pride, and they're going to want to prove how they can be more mature. And he knows this about Tristan. He also writes some notes to help with Tristan's performance, which I think is a tactic to keep Tristan's trust.
You left your MC notes at my place. I took the liberty of writing a few things down for you.
You didn't have to do that.
I know.
Grant is probably also worried that Tristan will say something, so this is another way he is able to show Tristan that he's looking out for him even after he left like that. He goes back to Grant's apartment later and proves how mature he is by initiating again.
I know I freaked out before, But it was only because I was surprised. I know you think I'm immature, but I'm not. I'm mature. I'm ready.
Tristan and Grant start to keep the relationship secret, and he starts kissing him in a janitor's closet.
I just want to shout it from the rooftops. Well, you can't. You get that, right? This is serious, Tristan. You and me, what we've been doing has to stay a secret.
And Tristan is on top of the world because of it, to the point where he makes it obvious to Maya that he and Grant are in a relationship. And obviously Maya is immediately grossed out, but Tristan doesn't handle it well.
Promise me, or you're seriously dead to me.
Things only get worse when Tristan is called into Mr. Simpson's office.
You don't need to protect. I'm not protecting anyone.
You know I'm here to help you.
I'm telling the truth. So what's gonna happen now? Is he gonna get in trouble?
Why are you worried about him? Did he threaten you?
Oh, Mr. Simpson.
Did he tell you something bad would happen if anyone found out?
No, he seems like a nice guy. I wouldn't want him to get in trouble because someone around here is a pathological liar.
Mr. Simpson seems to see through Tristan even though he's not entirely sure. This might also be because he has had experience with this before, being accused by Darcy, and he also saw the signs as well with Paige and Matt. Tristan is obviously pissed at Maya for reporting this and stops talking to her for a while. My main problems with this really come from how it was handled afterward. We don't really get much reference of Grant or the fact that Tristan was taken advantage of by Grant. It was referenced once in Thunderstruck, and that's really only so Miles could say something cruel to Tristan.
If I've learned anything this year, it's that no one will ever truly love you.
I really would have liked to see a storyline with Tristan struggling to deal with this more, and maybe he has to confront it again when he finds out that Grant was doing this to other students.
And that creepo Yates caught me. He was so mad.
Why are you calling Mr. Yates a creepo?
Because he tried to grope me.
No way. Grant would never do that.
I was there, dude. Why are you defending him?
Well, Tris, he didn't try to touch you too, did he?
No.
Apparently Winston was also preyed on by Grant, but this is just glossed over. This happened to one of the other main characters, and you're telling me that this is the only line we get and we don't see anything else? Why is there always a chance for a storyline for Winston and they just end up leaving him behind? This could have been interesting to learn that both Winston and Tristan were both preyed on by Grant, and we could have also focused on Winston dealing with this, maybe telling Miles about it. We could see Tristan and Winston talking it through, confronting it together. The whole relationship is just never brought up again because Miles and Tristan got together, so that means that everything that Tristan went through is resolved. He has a new relationship. That's what the conclusion of this really feels like it's trying to tell me, that the problem can be solved if the character finds a relationship, instead of showing me how this type of relationship can really be damaging to a younger person.
I thought we were in love, but obviously it's just a big joke.
We had a connection.
In this 12th century romance, a teacher starts a torrid affair with a student. But when her family finds out, they castrate him. How is this romantic?
Well, because after that, the girl becomes a nun and the man a monk, and for the rest of their lives, they write love letters to each other.
Degrassi has depicted this better in the past, like Degrassi High did this better, showing how Lucy dealt with being preyed on. Tristan's relationship with Yates is one of the grossest on this list because of the grooming involved and the age gap, the manipulation, and how far they were involved with each other. It's so weird that we don't really get a conclusion to this. At least with Matt and Paige, we see that Matt is probably fucked career-wise, and that he and Paige don't end up together. But Grant just leaves and we never see him again.
How could you be so naive? I thought I could trust you.
You can, I swear. We can figure this out.
No, we can't. We can't see each other anymore.
It just felt like the show focused more on the romanticizing of the relationship than condemning the fact that it was wrong. I just wish as much as they focused on the fact that they were in a relationship and all of this was happening, that they equally show how Tristan was impacted by this. I don't think the show should really focus on much of the relationship aspect itself, like the being a couple part, but really the focus should be more on establishing how wrong the relationship is, like the adult taking advantage of the younger person through subtle ways. And they do this to an extent with Tristan and Grant. However, I think they could have went harder with showing the manipulation of Yates, having more episodes showing Tristan growing more anxious in his relationship with Grant, and then after being reported showing Tristan and how he's dealing with it. This would have been better instead of just mostly romanticizing the relationship and then having it get reported and that's all. I know some may argue that Manny is 18, so it might not be as big of a deal, but this relationship is just as much of a problem. Just because Manny is 18 doesn't mean that she is mature enough to be in a relationship with a man this old. He's also her professor, which adds a power dynamic, and the fact that he is verbally abusive and manipulative to Manny is enough for me to put this here.
So you messed up the audition, just like I said you would. You're not ready for professional work. Anyone can see that.
Nick, I thought that I could do it.
I've indulged this behavior long enough.
Kevin Smith said if I just get down there, I still have a chance.
What's gonna change this time? You're still the untalented girl that crawled out of my bed yesterday morning.
You think I have no talent?
How you conned your way into Smithdale drama, I'll never know.
How can you say that?
Just don't come crying back to me when you fail.
Manny starts dating her professor in the Degrassi Goes Hollywood movie, and I know this was just written because they wanted to have Manny in this really horrible relationship so it could make me want her with Jay. Did it work on me a little? Maybe a little.
No, I just don't want you talking to him.
Oh, and I should do what you want because you know what's best for
That's
me.
not what I'm saying.
But you let me get it if I cry? If I tell you how stupid I am, fine, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot. I do everything wrong. I'm not gonna kill my damn phone.
Look at what this guy's done to you.
But the show just glosses over the fact that this guy, who is at least 30, probably older, dating his student, and the only problem about this is that he's just really abusive to her. And yes, that's obviously a problem, but the show again doesn't acknowledge that this age gap is a problem and that he's her professor. It really doesn't go out of its way to acknowledge that.
Dessert at my place.
That sounds nice.
Nice.
Well, more than nice. It's just I was supposed to go to this Kevin Smith lecture with some of my friends.
Have fun with your friends.
Well, no, I don't have to go. I'd much rather spend time with you. So, dinner at Le Chasse.
Now I come to think about it, I've just got too much work to do.
Everything I do because I want to. Oh, so he doesn't control you. You don't understand. I feel great, like I can do anything when I listen to him.
The things I do for you.
It's not that bad.
And Goethe must be turning in his grave.
I guess it is kind of derivative.
Every other depiction of the student-teacher dynamic has always taken place in high school, so this could have been the show's opportunity to show the negative aspects of when a student enters a relationship with their professor in college. There are still things to be said about a relationship like this, even if the younger person isn't a minor. The age gap is still something to be questioned and condemned because of the difference in maturity and life experience, and because of the power dynamic that I was talking about before. And the show really just glosses over this aspect that Manny was in a relationship with her professor. And I don't like how this was just written for the Degrassi Goes Hollywood event. Why couldn't this have been built up through season 8? It could have shown Manny entering this relationship with this guy who ends up being her professor, and how this starts to impact her, and this builds to the events at the end of season 8. And after this, the relationship of course isn't mentioned, so it just feels so weird that they would introduce this just to be a plot device that brings down Manny's self-esteem, really, because that's what Mick is ultimately used for. He's just a plot device.
Steps.
Manny, didn't we talk about you trying to cry in the scene?
Well, I thought I'd try something different.
And do you think that worked?
I'm not sure.
Hard to perform from a stance of not being sure, isn't it? Are you not sure you want to be an actor?
No, I'm sure.
Are you not sure you have the focus to practice this craft?
No, I'm sure.
Are you not sure you have any talent? Because you're beginning to make me wonder.
I'm sure.
Use that emotion. Back to the scene, go!
They're not trying to tell a compelling story with this relationship. I think they're just trying to make Jay look better by comparison, which I just feel is unnecessary because they could have shown Manny having feelings of insecurity without Mick, and it could have been just as meaningful to watch her pick herself back up. But they just had to put poor Manny through this, and for what? For some asshole professor to treat her like shit? And they don't even acknowledge how fucked up this relationship was. It just felt so weird to me. While we're on the subject of Degrassi Goes Hollywood, the person making the film that Manny wanted to audition for was Jason Mewes, Kevin's little buddy. Plot of this film focuses on a love he had with his high school girlfriend, and he really fixates on who his perfect Trixie will be.
Dude, Robbie the suit keeps saying she's adorable and whatever, but sir, she's not my Trixie. Look, this is the moment I fell in love with Trixie. When I looked across the hall, my whole world changed.
Trixie would never say, "You're not my type, Goldilocks."
Yeah, she would, and she did. To me, I was there.
So take with that what you will. To me, it comes off as creepy that he would put all of this focus, a self-insert movie where he can relive a high school relationship he had with a girl that got away. Like, I don't know, dude, get over it. Sav and Miss O. God, where do I even start with this? This one might be the worst on this list for a few reasons. First, because Miss O was established to be just a regular teacher for a while until they decide to do this relationship with her and Sav. The other teachers that ended up entering relationships with their students were introduced for that purpose. Matt, Grant, Mick, but Miss O, as far as I know, wasn't introduced to be a teacher that would eventually enter a relationship with their student. There are a few reasons why I think this happened. Miss O does all the same things with a student that the other teachers do, but the only difference is that she's a woman. And I think because the character was on the show for so long and the fact that she is 23 and Sav is technically 18, 18, they thought it wouldn't be as problematic, but it's still a problem. I do think that Miss O being a woman plays a role in why her behavior isn't condemned at all in the show. They just excuse it completely. This isn't something that is new. We see that men that are in inappropriate relationships with their students are looked down upon more, where when the woman is the teacher, it seems like it's more romanticized and justified or given some type of pass. So Sav is established to have a crush on Miss O, which seems to be how things start, and Mo, who ends up being his wingman, I guess, starts convincing him to try to get with her by sending the song that Sav wrote for her, and then she discovers the file with him in the room and leaves embarrassed. And from here, you'd think that any teacher would immediately draw the line. Well, it gets even worse. They coincidentally meet up at a concert and she tells him he can call her Winnie.
Is the guy that wrote that song for me. Miss O? We're not in school. Call me Winnie. Are you alone? Want to watch with us?
Yeah, sure, Winnie.
And he even goes to sit with them at the table. The first sign that the show is letting us know that Miss O was going to eventually reciprocate these feelings. And they almost don't want you to question it or anything, with how casually Sav talks about how he might have a shot with her, and how Mo encourages Sav to go for it. After the concert, Sav thinks he can call Miss O Winnie all the time now, and then this happens.
That was a great show last night, eh, Winnie?
It's Miss O.
So yeah, a teacher just did that to a student. As a 14-year-old watching this, I remember being so weirded out by this because I couldn't understand how the show could be going this hard with this. It's literally in the marketing of this.
I'm your teacher for 3 more weeks.
They don't condemn this at all like the other relationships do to some degree. When they're practicing together, she plays him a song that's about him.
She'll find someone right. He walks through the door. She knows she must ignore tingling in her heart. She cannot start.
Her student, after she comes back, she admits to having feelings for him and then they kiss.
A teacher writing a song about a student would just be
Pathetic.
not exactly what I was going for, more too good to be true.
Which is why I shouldn't have sung it, written it, or even thought it. I've been having feelings, but you're my student. It's wrong.
Sav, who now thinks they're in a relationship, goes to the point of defending her in class.
Yo, you heard Miss O? Shut it!
Bro, get a room, man.
And rubbing her shoulders.
So the way your class was mocking you, I had to say something.
Sav, I don't need you to stick up for me. I'm a big girl. This is all my fault. I'm sorry if I led you on.
And when rumors go around about Sav and Winnie, Mr. Simpson questions them on this, and Sav then takes the fall for her.
I started the rumor. Some guys were teasing me about being unlucky in love. I told them that Miss O and I were an item.
But unlike what happened with Matt, where Matt ended up telling the truth instead of letting Paige take the fall, Sav's behavior is supposed to be seen as romantic because he protected Winnie in this moment. And then the show goes further to leave the relationship open when she gives him her number. She never gets in trouble for this. It feels as if the show is saying that other than the fact that they are student and teacher, this is okay. For Miss O to allow this relationship to go on when she is 23 and Sav is 18. It's so weird that Degrassi actually normalized this without any repercussions for the teacher at all. And this happened in season 11. This didn't happen in like season 1 or Degrassi High. It's just weird that Degrassi actually normalized this without any repercussions for the teacher. In the beginning of season 11, Fiona meets a woman named Charlie, another adult. I'm not sure exactly what age, but I'm assuming she's in her early 20s because we know that she can at least drink. This relationship is less offensive to me because it feels less predatory on the surface, but still an age gap that the show encourages to an extent, so I still want to talk about it for a little bit. When Charlie is having issues with housing, Fiona invites her to live with her right away, immediately getting deeply involved with Charlie. And this is where Charlie, knowing that Fiona is in high school by this point, should have declined her offer because Fiona clearly expects something from this, and so does Charlie. Also, because she's an adult, she really shouldn't be in a relationship with Fiona anyway.
Go back to high school, okay, Fiona?
But Charlie does end up moving in after they clear up a misunderstanding where Fiona thinks that Charlie brought bed bugs. Charlie wants to celebrate with Fiona, which again, it's questionable that she wants to allow Fiona to drink when she knows she's a minor. And on top of this, she is still continuing this relationship with her while she's living with her. When Fiona tells her she's an alcoholic, it seems like the bigger problem that the show is pointing out is that Fiona hid this from Charlie. But the big problem here is that Charlie is an adult with a minor, encouraging that minor to drink, and is also living with that minor. Everything is happening too fast, especially for Fiona, who has never even been in a relationship with another girl. Charlie ends up moving out after this, and they continue to be friends. The show leaves the door open between the two after Charlie helps Fiona when she's caught buying alcohol, and then immediately drops the relationship completely, never referencing the relationship again, possibly because someone realized that it would be weird or because they wanted to go in a different direction, but either way, this was a better decision. Obviously, this isn't the most egregious on this list, but still a problematic relationship that the show never really condemns for the age gap. The relationship between Zoe and Drew is problematic, but I think probably out of all these age gap relationships, this might be the only relationship where it's written fairly realistically from the perspective of Zoe and from Drew. I'm not defending the relationship, I'm not defending Drew, but I find it interesting that unlike the other age gap relationships, they actually acknowledge this one. It also shows me that Degrassi is capable of depicting an age gap relationship like this that's supposed to be problematic. First, let's factor in that Drew was repeating a year, so the grades between Zoe and Drew are like freshman and senior. Second, even though it's only 3 years of an age gap, Drew is older. Clearly there is a difference in sexual maturity, and Drew is 18 at this point and entered the relationship with her when he was 18, so it's definitely problematic for a few reasons that the show is setting up. Zoe obviously becomes immediately attracted to Drew. He's older, popular. After Drew starts overdoing it with his medication after Adam dies, he then takes Zoe to a dance while he's clearly all messed up. Zoe immediately wants to seem cool and mature by going out with Drew, and he doesn't really care about her at all. At this point, he's still with Bianca, but after they break up, Drew then enters a full-on relationship with Zoe without the intention of really getting serious with her at all. Drew tells Zoe that he wants to have a casual relationship since he just got out of a long-term relationship, but this is where he should have called things off with her, because Zoe just convinces Drew to keep dating her since they both like each other. Drew ends up having sex with Zoe with the intention of breaking it off shortly after that.
We like each other, right? And we have fun together?
Yeah, a lot.
Can we just keep doing what we're doing? No need to label it. Can't believe any girl was stupid enough to break up with you.
Zoe, of course, who thinks they're in a real relationship, wants to start hanging out with him more, doing things with his friends, and Drew eventually tries breaking up with her again. Drew then decides to make the relationship official after feeling bad.
I thought you liked me. I thought you were a nice guy, but you used me.
I would never do that to you.
We had sex, and now you're breaking up with me. What else would you call that? Can't believe I shared my first time with you.
Well, why wouldn't you tell me?
I didn't want to ruin the moment. I thought it was special.
It was special.
But you want to throw it all away.
That is not what I meant. I think we should change our face range status to in a relationship.
Then he decides to break up with her again after telling her he wanted to be with her.
I don't want you here.
But I'm your girlfriend.
No, you're not. I broke up with you.
No, you didn't.
I was trying to let you down easy. Clearly, you didn't get the message.
That's what that was? It was that easy for you. We had sex.
I totally regret that now.
Drew just fucks around with Zoe, not taking into account that she is younger than him and less experienced. He doesn't even consider the fact that she might be less experienced because of her reputation, and he doesn't consider her feelings even though he was worried about her being upset. It would have been much better than leading her on, having sex with her, making her think you're serious, and then breaking up with her after taking her virginity. It's just really manipulative. Drew takes advantage of the situation, and even if he didn't intend on things going this far, he still allowed it to happen when he could have told Zoe the truth, but he just couldn't resist. Later in Mr. Simpson's office with both of their mothers, Zoe's mother wants to report Drew because of their illegal age difference, because Zoe is 15 and Drew is 18.
It was consensual. Tell them.
You have to call the police. This is statutory rape.
It isn't. The law here says there's a 5-year window. If it was consensual, it wasn't illegal.
It was.
After it's all cleared up, Drew is happy that he's gotten rid of Zoe, but his mother scolds him like she should because his behavior is despicable the way he treats her. He doesn't even seem to feel bad at all about it.
Go back to my form now.
Drew.
I have to save my job.
What about the girl, Drew?
Why, we dated? We broke up? Why are you so mad?
She's 15.
Well, Mom, I didn't do anything wrong.
Do you know what's worse? You don't even understand what you did. Why did you sleep with her?
I don't know. She liked me.
Did you like her?
Yeah, sort of.
So that's your criteria? Sex is serious, especially for a girl. Especially at that age.
It's been so hard.
No, don't you dare make this about your brother.
Okay, fine. I did a dumb thing.
Yeah, and a selfish thing, and an insensitive thing. I thought I raised a better man.
After his mother tells him off, he goes to apologize to Zoe later, who's already being slut-shamed because her mother outed their relationship to everyone.
I have a question. What were you thinking when you had sex with my daughter? How do you feel about your youth outreach coordinator taking advantage of a 15-year-old girl?
And Drew tries to apologize, but she doesn't really accept it.
Did you do that and regret it too?
It wasn't me, I swear.
I know. It's someone else who thinks that about me. Great. You used me. Nothing changed for you. You get to keep your job and your friends.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. I should thank you. My mom always told me never to trust guys, but I didn't believe her.
Zoe.
I'll never make that mistake again.
He has to live with the fact that he used her and hurt her, and things don't end on good terms. This relationship, although problematic, is never really romanticized from the beginning. It's clear Drew never wanted to be in a serious relationship with her. They even condemn the age gap within the storyline, which isn't really brought up elsewhere. It seems like this storyline might have been written to touch upon the issue with these type of relationships, and for that it is written better. Johnny and Allie are an interesting relationship because on the surface of it, I can see why there are a lot of people that like this relationship. There are cute moments between the two. The personalities are really different, so the relationship is more interesting, given that Johnny is less outgoing and Allie is more sociable and approachable. But there are a few things that already concerned me with the relationship. First, the fact that Allie is just entering high school. She's a freshman and she's really just starting to figure out who she is. Dating someone like Johnny, who is older, more mature, and also has a lot more sexual experience than Allie, it just wasn't already a good foundation to the relationship. Again, I do think that there could be cute moments, especially the way Allie tries to get Johnny's attention and he tries to ignore her, but also finds her interesting at the same time.
What are you reading?
A book.
That's a joke, right?
That would be correct.
Was that supposed to be your poker face? You know I'm not supposed to tell you I have a killer hand.
Maybe I'm just happy to be spending time with you.
I think you got the wrong guy, Backwoods Bandari. I don't do floral.
I know it was you. I have my sources.
You're better off without me.
Obviously. You're an idiot.
You know, it doesn't matter what you wear, Allie. You look good to me.
However, the latter half of this relationship is where the age gap becomes more evident. One of the first moments where we really see the signs that this relationship is probably going to go south is that the show does acknowledge the age gap on multiple occasions, whether it's Johnny not wanting to admit to liking a niner.
We can't date or anything. I mean, you're a grade 9. My friends with Marcus and your brother.
Heard you and Backwoods are an item.
Isn't that illegal? I'm a senior. Seriously think I'm going to date a niner.
Or this comment. The fact that Johnny jokes at the fact that he was her first kiss also shows the difference in their experiences.
Was that your first kiss?
The next one won't be.
When Allie wants to prove her maturity to Johnny and she ends up having sex with him in a van, Allie has a hard time afterwards because she clearly wasn't ready to have sex.
Tell me you used a condom.
What if it broke? It was my first time. I don't know how anything is supposed to feel.
Was it like you thought?
We were kissing, and that was nice. It was perfect. Everything you'd expect it to be. You didn't want him to think I wasn't cool. How could I share something so special with someone I can't even talk to? But I can't take it back.
Johnny, although does get her consent, also senses that she wasn't ready and shouldn't have had sex with her. They talk it out and get back together and things seem to be fine for a bit, but it gets worse for the relationship when Allie ends up getting a new phone and gives it to Johnny and decides to start sexting him. And when she takes pictures of him with stuffed animals and they get spread around the school.
I'm stupid. You're the one sending naked photos of yourself to this loser. Maybe I should show the Allie I see to my friend.
God, Johnny, you can't.
Everyone saw my picture. Seems only fair. Bruce is gonna love this.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate. Whoa!
Johnny gets pissed off with Allie and then blackmails her with the picture she sent him.
That's it, huh? What phone?
Don't be dumb.
Hatso searched my locker and my bag. She couldn't find it. It's gone. Let me tell you my 2 things. 1, I told you the rules, so if anyone acted dumb, it was you. And 2, if we're really broken up, I'm gonna need something to remember you by.
Johnny, there are photos of me without my clothes on.
And I promise I'll keep them to myself. Unlike you, I can keep a promise.
Which is just really fucked up, and this is where I just started to really not like this relationship. And to me, the added element of Allie being 14, very inexperienced in sexual relationships.
I just want to prove to her that I have an awesome boyfriend. No.
Backwoods Bandari. They think you hooked up with Johnny.
That's awesome.
You want them to call you that?
It's cooler than Sal's little sister or Ninergy.
Johnny being the older one and blackmailing her with her naked pictures just makes it even more manipulative to me. It's just really fucked up on Johnny's part. When Allie tries to get the phone back, Johnny says this.
If I give it back, you'll have no reason to come talk to me.
Right. That's the point.
And I know it's supposed to be cute because it shows that Johnny is also upset about them breaking up and wants to get back together. But he has naked pictures of her on a phone that he's holding over her. He later finds out that he has an STI, meaning that he lied to Allie when he said that he was a virgin.
I said it to make you feel better.
Allie wants to get back at him by recording him admitting that he has an STI to the whole school. Then he says something really nice about Allie.
Your friend Allie is the only girl I want.
They don't end up getting back together, but we see Johnny later in season 10 when she goes to hide out in his dorm, and he ends up calling Sav so she can go home and work things out with her parents. I'm very conflicted on Johnny as a character because there are moments where they do want me to like him, and I feel like there are moments where they do make him somewhat sympathetic and flawed, but I also feel like they didn't do this right, where they could have redeemed the character more to make him more interesting and more sympathetic, because it just comes off when you watch all of this back that he's just manipulative and taking advantage of Allie in the relationship. Even before his relationship with Allie, I do think that the show wanted to somewhat develop this character, but they didn't really take the time to do it or to explore him in a way that they could have. And it's unfortunate because I think that Johnny really could have been a redeemed character because there are likable parts about his personality. I just think all the actions make people not like the character as much as they would have if he had been redeemed. Like I said, the show seems to be somewhat aware that the age gap is questionable, but at the same time they don't really condemn it too much, and I think that the show just wanted to acknowledge that they are aware that the age gap is questionable, but they didn't really put as much focus on it that they probably should have. The fact that Allie was only 14 and inexperienced, and then Johnny takes advantage of nude photos that a 14-year-old sent to him. Other than some passing comments, I wish that this show really acknowledged that the age gap was problematic. There were a lot of relationships I talked about, and they all come with problems, mostly when it comes to romanticizing the relationships more than focusing on how wrong they were. I know that some of what I said might be considered controversial, and it's fine. I know it's a moral gray area with some of these, but some of these relationships are inexcusable, and the handling of these relationships could have been written a lot better, and that was my main point in all of this. I hope that you got something out of this discussion because it's a topic I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking around, and I hope to see you in the next one.